Hello everyone, my name is Sarafi and I'm happy to meet you all. And today we got some new announcements from the Jump Festa for the Duel Links 8th anniversary, which is going to be taking place in January, of course. Let's talk about what they've revealed and what we can expect for the new year. To start with, there's the 8th anniversary celebration campaign. On January 12th, if you log into Duel Links, you will get a free copy of Rainbow Neos. Rainbow Neos is Rainbow Neos is an insane card, but I don't know the full details. Level 10 Light Warrior monster that is a fusion of Elemental Hero Neos and one Ultimate Crystal monster, which does include Rainbow Dragon. Must be fusion summoned with the above fusion material monsters and cannot be special summoned by other ways. Once per turn, you can activate one of these effects. Send one monster you control to the graveyard. Shuffle all monsters your opponent controls into the deck. That is a reference to what Rainbow Dragon can do. Send one spell or trap you control to the graveyard. Shuffle all spells and traps your opponent controls into the deck. That one's a little bit more niche. I don't know if your opponent's playing a lot of continuous spells or equip spells. I guess it could be good. But if they're like just setting regular back row, they'll just chain it in response. And then lastly, this is the crazy one. Send one card from the top of your deck to the graveyard. Shuffle all cards from your opponent's graveyard into the deck. So a lot of decks rely on setting up the graveyard, utilizing cards in the graveyard. Putting cards back into your deck makes you brick a lot, and it can ruin some combos and some strategies and some extensions. For example, Tenyi really relies on the graveyard, so does Shiranui. Tachyon uses the graveyard a lot. There are more decks that utilize the graveyard than decks that would be completely unaffected by Rainbow Neos' effect at all. So Rainbow Neos, while it can just easily OTK by shuffling your opponent's entire board into the deck and then attacking for 4,500, can also be very devastating to a deck that wants to play a long game by just removing their graveyard. So this is a great card for us to get for free. Probably just going to be one, though. And then for Rush, Pot of Greed. Pot of Greed, draw 2 cards. Okay, so if you've never played Pot of Greed at all, this is your chance to play Pot of Greed, so enjoy. Do I think Pot of Greed will be a staple card in Rush? At present, the legendary spells in Rush are Monster Reborn, Tribute to the Doomed. Is that it? Let me see. Do they have a legendary filter for... Please tell me they have a legendary filter on this site. Yes, okay. Okay. Pot of Avarice, Tribute to the Doomed, Monster Reincarnation, Shield and Sword, The Warrior Returning Alive. And that's it. Okay. Yeah, I do think Pot of Greed will be a staple, because Pot of Avarice is essentially Pot of Greed that just takes longer. So yeah, okay. People who don't care about recursion will play Pot of Greed, and people who do care about recursion will play Pot of Avarice. And the people who don't want to draw cards for whatever reason will continue to play Tribute to the Doomed, but that's probably not correct anymore. All right, next up, we have a new structure deck coming out on January 12th, Armed Neos Thunder. It's an EX structure deck, which means it will cost 1,000 gems. And the new skill we'll go over in a minute. Confirmed cards, Armed Neos. Armed Neos is a level 10 Wind Warrior monster that's a fusion of Elemental Hero Neos plus one Armed Dragon monster. It must be fusion summoned. If this card is special summoned, you can choose one Dragon monster in your graveyard. Destroy all monsters your opponent controls with an equal or lower level than it. So the skill will help you summon a level 10 Armed Dragon monster so that you can use that as material. Therefore, you will destroy all monsters your opponent controls with level 10 or lower. When this card destroys a monster by battle, you can make this card gain the following effect. During the main phase, as a quick effect, you can tribute this card to special summon one Elemental Hero Fusion monster from your extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. That's hilarious. So, the skill does restrict you pretty heavily. Let me pull up the skill real quick. Let's see. Leaks updates. During this duel, you can only special summon Elemental Hero, Neos, Neospatian, and New Bell monsters. Oh, okay. So then our Neos can get you literally anything. I don't think we have Cosmo Neos yet. Let me see. What are our targets? Chaos Neos. Shuffle this card into the extra deck, and if you do, set all face-up monsters on the field. That's not great. Divine Neos, which gains the banished monster's effects. Grand Neos, which can bounce a card once per turn. Storm Neos, which destroys all spells and traps on the field. Why is there a Neos monster that destroys all spells and traps on the field? What about Neospace? Magma Neos. If this card is shuffled into the extra deck, return all cards on the field to the hand. That's funny. Dark Neos, which negates an effect. Aqua Neos, which destroys a card in your opponent's hand. And that's all we got. So we don't have any of the good ones. We don't have Cosmo Neos. We don't have Neos Lord. We don't have Nebula Neos. We don't have we don't have Air Neos, sadly. Okay. I mean, Arm Neos does summon Rainbow Neos. Or no, it can't summon Rainbow Neos. Because it's an elemental hero monster. So I guess this just floats into Kluger then. Okay, so this card floats into Kluger. Kluger floats into Neos Wiseman. That's kind of underwhelming. I don't know. Maybe you don't play Armed Neos even with the skill. Maybe you just focus on Rainbow Neos. We'll see. But the other reprints, Miracle Fusion, Neos Fusion, Liquid Soldier, and Sunrise, these cards are all in the game. They're all pretty good. Some of them have been locked by structure decks before, so, I mean, if you don't have these cards for whatever reason, then now's your chance to get them. I have all these already, so I'm not really worried about it. New main box, Rainbow Overdrive. January 1st, 2025. We have Emergency Call, which is not once per turn. Add an elemental hero monster from your deck to your hand. That's crazy. That's really good. This will probably be a UR, and if it is a UR, it will probably be played at least one. The main problem with Emergency Call is that, like, Stratos does the same thing while also being fusion material. This doesn't cost us summon. Emergency Call will probably be more valuable when we don't have Hero Lives, which we don't, in Duel Links at least, but it's hard to say how heavily this card will be prioritized in a 20-card deck. We'll see. Crystal Rainbow, what is it called? Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon. Alright, if you don't know how Crystal Beasts work when they're at full power, you can check out the Crystal Beast video that I just released on this channel for Crystal Beast and Master Duel. But Rainbow Dragon is a huge part of this. You can banish this continuous spell, special summon one level 4 or lower Crystal Beast monster from your deck, but negate its effects, and if you do, add one ultimate crystal monster from your deck to your hand. So, what you do is you normal summon your Sapphire Pegasus. Sapphire Pegasus places the Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon from your deck onto the field. Then you banish that card. You special summon like Amber Mammoth or Topaz Tiger from your deck. Now you have 2 level 4s, so you can immediately exceed summon, and you draw Rainbow Dragon so that you can special summon it later. So this is good. This is a good card. House Dragonmaid, which is a level 9 light fusion monster. It requires a Dragonmaid monster plus 1 dragon monster. 3,000 attack points. Once per turn, during the standby phase, you can target one other Dragonmaid monster you control. Special summon a Dragonmaid from your hand or graveyard in defense position, whose level is 1 level higher or 1 level lower than the monster you targeted. That's interesting. So basically this will let you, I think you can target Parlor and summon Chambermaid. You can target I mean, a lot of the like higher level Dragonmaid cards are level 7 or level 8, so you can like mix between the two of those. Um, uh, what level is Kitchen? To be honest, this effective House Dragonmaid has never like been one that I really paid attention to, because I almost always have a target. So I just pick the monster that I have a target, but I don't know like the line for anything like this. Like Dragonmaid is literally just get show out, let show carry you. So I haven't paid attention to House that much, but House is a good card. Tri-Brigade, Shireg, the Ominous Omen. I talked about Tri-Brigades in my last video, the predictions for 2025 video. Tri-Brigade's coming out right now. Cool. Doesn't look like there's a skill for them, so that's fine. We'll see how powerful Tri-Brigades can be when Revolt is not that consistent. It has been pointed out to me that you can use Revolt on monsters that are in the graveyard. I did forget that. I see Revolt so rarely in Master Duel that I assumed it was only banished monsters. Since you can use Revolt on monsters in the graveyard, it is much more likely that you will actually have a Link 2 monster in your graveyard. But the question is, what is your end board look like? Where you are Link summoning into a Link 2 and then moving through that. Because the assumption I had pretty much was that you would end on a double Dragon Lords, just as a good negate interruption card, and then go from there. But if you're not ending on a Link 2, I'm not sure what your goal is. We don't really have a good Link 3 or Link 4 that you could end on. Yes, you could end on Shireg, but Shireg is the card that you're probably going to be summoning with Revolt. So do you really want to... In a 9-card extra deck, do you really want to set yourself up to summon your boss monster and then follow up with your boss monster in the middle of your opponent's turn when you're not going into battle at all? Like, yes, you will have the ability to banish your opponent's cards at least once, but that's putting you in a position where you can't potentially clap back. You need to win on turn 3. So committing 2 of your, at max, 3 level 4s that actually have decent attack points would really hurt you. So, I don't know. I'm not sure yet. And then lastly, Invoked Agados. Ago-Ades. So if you have been waiting for the Invoked support, it's here, finally. This is a fusion of Alistair the Invoker plus any fusion monster. So this is where you actually get benefit for returning Alistair to your hand. Light, level 8, 2000 attack, 2000 defense. If this card is special summon, or if a monster is special summoned to your opponent's field, you can target one monster your opponent controls and destroy it. You can only use this effect once per turn. That is stupid. Immediately after your opponent summons a monster, you just get to pop something they control. Excellent. Great card. There's a question of how consistently you'll be able to draw multiple fusion spells. Alistair does draw you one, of course, but you'll have to chain fuse, or you'll have to like fuse climb to make this card. So, not sure what you're going to do with that. Once per turn, you can banish one fusion monster from your graveyard. This card gains attack equal to that banished monster's attack until the end of your opponent's turn. That makes up for the poor stats. Good card. And then for the special sets, we're going to have 2 limit 1s that are coming as part of the box. Dragonmaid Show and Invoked Macabre. So if you are worried about whether Dragonmaids or Invoked will be good, don't worry. Both the decks are getting their Omni Negate, so they will both be insane. Dragonmaid Show. This is a level 10 light dragon monster. It requires a Dragonmaid monster plus 1 level 5 or higher dragon monster. During each standby phase, you can special summon 1 level 9 or lower Dragonmaid monster from your hand or graveyard, which is every card except Show. When your opponent activates a card or effect, as a quick effect, you can negate the activation. If you do, destroy that card. After that, you return this card to the extra deck, and if you do, special summon 1 House Dragonmaid from your extra deck. So that's how Dragonmaids work. They constantly cycle between their human and their dragon forms. House Dragonmaid is Show's human form, so once Show uses her Omni Negate, then she becomes House, basically. That's fantastic. And Omni Negate is a good, like you don't have a question of what you're going to end on with with Tri-Brigades. With Tri-Brigades, there's a question of, what's your end board? What does it look like? With Dragonmaids, it's literally just Show, pass. Don't care. You're going to do something, do something. So, I forgot to mention, second effective house. When another face-up dragon monster you control returns to your hand, you target one monster your opponent controls and destroy it. So, again, that's what Dragonmaids do a lot. So, basically, if your opponent goes into the battle phase, you can immediately pop one of their cards. That's what House does. So, House, Dragonmaid, Show, both of those cards are going to be very good interrupts. And then Dragonmaids get a skill as well, which they don't need at all. Do not need a skill. So, the fact that they have a skill means this deck is going to be, like, tier 2 at least. Invoked Macabre. This is a level 9 light machine monster. Requires Alistair the Invoker plus a light monster. Once per turn, when a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated, you can send the same type of card from your hand to the graveyard, negate the activation, and if you do, banish the card. So, it's a soft once per turn, but that doesn't matter because we're only getting one copy of Invoked Macabre. And both these cards will be limit 1, by the way. Being able to negate a monster spell or trap is pretty good, but of course you have to have a trap card or a spell card in your hand to discard in order to do this effect. This is, Invoke Macabre is good primarily just because it's really good at utilizing the fact that Alistair returns to your hand. So you just have a monster negate for basically free, which is good enough, usually. You want to negate monsters more than you want to negate spells or traps, usually anyway. So, yeah, I mean, I just think that both these decks will be really good, and I'm looking forward to this box. So, my name is Srafi, and I was thrilled to have all of you with me.